up, guys? Kind of a dreary Saturday up here. Figured I'd take a drive and talk about a potential next vehicle. So if you guys are like me, you're always looking for that next vehicle. I am always on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, seeing what's available. Pretty much every other day. And that started kind of when I was a kid. Even when I was like 13, 14, I would look at the classified section of the paper, I remember, before we had a computer. And I would see what was for sale, and I would highlight anything with a 5-speed transmission. And then the first car I got was a 98 Civic DX with a 5-speed that I found in the paper. That was back in like maybe 2007. So I'm really enjoying the XRS. My life outside is pretty outdoor oriented, so I do a fair amount of skiing, biking, hunting, and some fishing. And all that gear, for better or worse, does take up a fair amount of space. space. I'll show you guys a picture here. But you can fit a ton of stuff in it, a ton of room in the back seat, and I just think that's a super cool vehicle. Next would be kind of similar to this, except more cargo capacity. Anywhere from 2003 to 2013 Toyota Matrix. I think they all had pretty reliable engines. There was a claim that came out with some oil consumption in the 2009 year, so I'd probably avoid that one. But I think a Matrix, hatchback, all that cargo space, having a manual transmission, I think that would be a lot of fun. Kind of similar to that would be the third one, and that's the Scion IM. That is available in both the CVT and a 6-speed manual. I would have to get the manual. I believe it's port injected, really good fuel economy. Again, it's really just an elaboration of the Matrix. Getting into some other options here, I've always really liked the Fiesta STs. They look super fun. All the reviews are incredibly positive. The one downside with the Fiesta ST is the fact that it has a harsh ride in the model years before 2016. So it would have to be a 2016 or newer Fiesta ST. And I'm not really sure why. I'm not so interested in the Focus ST. Just something about the looks, it's just not my preference. But I think the Fiesta ST looks really cool, and that's definitely something I would be interested in. Con there is the Fiesta ST has an odd wheel bolt pattern. It's not even a 4x100. It's a 4x108, I think. I don't know if that's inaccurate, but that's what I saw when I was looking into it. So, and up here in New York, we'd have to run 2 sets of wheels on a little vehicle like that for the winter. So finding another set of 4x108s probably wouldn't be the most fun. Another aspect I liked a lot about the Fiesta ST is the fact that it can take both premium and regular fuel. Now the forums are full of people saying, oh, only run premium, but from what I understand, the manual the manual for that vehicle would allow, make this turn here, the manual would allow for regular fuel, and I think that's really cool. You know, it also lets you kind of almost change your driving dynamic between tanks. Oh, if I'm going autocross this weekend, make sure I top it off with 93. If I'm just driving, going on a road trip, put in 87, no problem. I think that's super cool. And that would be a direct injection, but would have a timing chain. I think that would be a lot of fun to autocross. Another one, this is kind of a weird one, is the 2002 to 2005 Civic Si. These got a really bad rap. They're known as the EP3. I'm not really sure why they got a bad rap. They look super cool. They're 2-door hatchbacks. I wish it was a 4-door, but the hatchback creates a lot of usable space. The aggressive K-Series motor, but it's a good solid timing chain motor that has stood the test of time. A great 5-speed manual transmission. I've actually driven one of them before, and I really enjoyed it. I just couldn't haggle the gentleman down to a price that I wanted to spend for it. At a really close, the shifter was right next to the steering wheel, and that created like a really cool driving interaction as opposed to dropping your hand down a little lower. I thought that was super cool. I believe in between the years 2002 and 2005 they transitioned from the 4x100 to a 5x114.3. So it'd be nice to get a later model one. Another benefit with that vehicle is, even though it's the SI, in most of SI models are tuned for premium fuel, that SI calls for regular fuel, which I think is cool. Next one would be the 2016 or newer Civic hatchback. Now this would be a turbo direct injection motor. Your options are CVT or 6-speed manual. I would definitely get the manual. Tons of space, really efficient, and whenever I see them I think they look kind of edgy and cool, and I just think that would be a lot of fun. That's one of the newer vehicles on this list. Other than that, not really much to write home about with that car. Runs a 5x114.3 bolt pattern, which is cool. Next car, 2008 to 2010 Cobalt SS. These cars are so cool. Whenever you see anyone posting a video about these online, they are smoking whatever car they're racing. These cars are downright fast. Front wheel drive with a limited slip differential. These cars get after it. I believe it's a G85 LSD. One cool thing about these, they did make, well, while most of them are coupes, they did make them for a small set of time with sedan, I believe. And I don't know a ton about this car, but everything I've seen about it I really like. Other than the fact that the wheels have a strange bolt pattern, I believe a 5x110, which would not be my preference. I wouldn't have another set of wheels for it. I have to go get another set. But I think that would be super cool. That's turbo. I'm not sure if it's port or direct injected. I'm not sure. It seems questionable how reliable that turbo motor is, but without a doubt it's a performer. I think before the first gen Civic Type R, the more recent Civic Type R's came out, I believe it had like the front wheel drive Nürburgring record, which is insane from a Chevy Cobalt. That's absolutely wild. That car is super cool. Kind of less interesting. I've always liked the Lexus ISs. I owned a 2002 Lexus IS 300 rear-wheel drive. That car was super fun. I had that car at a time. I wish I still had it, but it was a time in my life when financially it just didn't make a lot of sense. I had some moving pieces going on in my life, and I think everyone's got one of those cars they wish they never sold. That is definitely mine. Can't find them anymore, but the spec I had. Manual transmission with a limited slip differential, the gunmetal badge package. It was perfect. Kind of the thought that comes to mind there is, don't be sad that it's over, be happy it happened. But yeah, probably what I would look towards is a newer Lexus IS. It would have an automatic transmission, but it would not be a CVT. Just a good, reliable Toyota 6-cylinder motor with all-wheel drive. You could slap it over from drive and manual shift it a little bit. And that's a car that would last forever, get decent mileage even with a V6. Unfortunately, you'd have to put premium fuel in it, but a pro would be, it does have that 5x114.3 wheel size that I like. Moving on to number 9. So this is kind of a different one, and compared to the other vehicles in this list, this would be an FRS or BRZ. And obviously, I would prefer a manual transmission, but I think the automatic would kind of be super fun. It's a good automatic from ASIN. A lot of people have put reviews on that vehicle saying that it's a really solid transmission. I think Speed Academy had a nice video with that car on track, really praising the automatic for how solid it was, and I think every enthusiast would agree that they would prefer the manual in that vehicle. But having the automatic with paddle shifters, I think there's some serious fun to be had in there. It'd be cool, because my wife doesn't prefer to drive a manual as much. It'd be cool to just, have her drive and sit shotgun in that car, low power, so you can really just put pedal to the floor frequently. Paddle shifters, I think that would be a really, really fun time. Con there would be, gotta run premium fuel, rear wheel drive, not as much cargo space, so driving it in the winter wouldn't be as feasible or safe, but probably would be a lot of fun to roll around in the snow and get the rear end loose. Another thing I really like about that vehicle, since I've been doing my own oil changes, as a deer crosses in front of me, is the oil filter on the FRS and BRZ and some of the newer Subarus is on top. That is amazing. You just screw it off right from the top. In this vehicle, most vehicles I've encountered, it's bottom mounted, and there's no way, in my experience, to get that filter off without wearing it on your forearm. So having it right on top is super easy, because I think we're all pretty decent about getting the oil drain bolt off pretty cleanly, but I don't know anyone that does a pretty good job getting the filter off cleanly that when it's bottom mounted like that. So kind of a dark horse here to round off our list of 10 is going to be the Toyota X-Runner. This is a Toyota Tacoma. They made them from 2005 to 2013. In a small segment of years, they put a limited slip differential in them. They're rear-wheel drive. I believe they're lower 2 to 3 inches. Added chassis stiffness and bracing. 6-speed manual only that I'm familiar with. I'm not sure if that vehicle requires premium or regular fuel. I was seeing both, but I definitely saw some years did require premium. Unfortunately, you can only get it in an access cab. I don't think they offer it in a crew cab. But I think that truck would be super fun. Having a great reliable Toyota V6, throwing a 6-speed in a truck, I think that would be super, super cool, super unique, super rare. You really can't find those, so I don't know if I'd have any luck tracking one of those down, but that would be seriously cool. Definitely have limitations in the winter up here in New York. That's probably one that that wouldn't touch the road. Probably that and the BRZ. That would probably stay mostly off the road in the winter. So there's my list of 10. Let me know what you guys think of that list. Like I said, I'm gonna keep the XRS regardless. Really love this car. I'll let you guys get a little rev here. But just looking to add a car to the arsenal eventually, you know? I think we all like having cars, keeping them nice, driving them, switching it up, making them our own. So just looking to grow on that. Let me know what you think. Stay tuned. See what I go with. And you guys have a great one, alright?